Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm here to discuss the immorality of racial profiling, but I'll start off with something about me. Today, I'm going to London. After this class, I'm going to go shave, I'm going to go get a haircut, and then I'm going to go pack my bags. Somewhere between there, I'm going to eat. Then I'm going to go to the airport. At the airport, I'll just usually do the same thing. Go check my bags in, chill a little, and then finally, I'll go to the security checkpoint. Now this is when things start getting tricky. Every time I go, it's the same thing. Going in line, and eventually they come to me. And the same thing is said over and over to me. Sir, you have been randomly selected for additional screening. Randomly, that's a key word. In reality, it's not really that random. It is racial profiling. Now, this is just one of my personal experiences, but it's happened to a lot of people. In my last speech, I mentioned the Arizona state law of immigration. Obviously, it's racially profiling people of Latino or Hispanic descent, and it's a very relevant issue in America today that we should all really pay attention to. Now, racial profiling is unjust. It's mostly unjust because of it being discriminatory, not only that, but also inefficient. In this picture, it's a classic textbook example of discrimination. Obviously, you can see this cat, different from the meerkats, is being racially profiled, or, I don't know, maybe specially profiled, same thing. But you guys get it. I need to see your papers. So, that is a statement that a lot of people hear when it comes to racial profiling. And it's just an unjust practice. Just because someone looks different, or their skin color is different, their appearance is different, does not mean that they are a criminal or they possess certain attributes that are definitely going to be with them. According to Ronald Melchers from the University of Ottawa, the propagation of racial profiling creates alienation between police and minorities. Alienation, that's the key word here. How many of you have seen any comedy shows or anything on TV that shows friction between minorities and the police? So a good number of you have seen. This is not only in the media, it actually happens in society, it happens in real life. There is a lot of friction between minorities in a given area and the police there. This is because, one of the reasons is because of racial profiling. It creates an animosity between the two groups that really shouldn't be there. We should be counting on the police to protect us, not harass us and see us as the enemies. It also reinforces stereotypes and ignorance among the people who actually racially profile and the people around it. So those are some reasons why racial profiling is a form of discrimination and also is unjust. That also brings me to another point. Not only is it discriminatory, but it is also inefficient. Okay? So in this picture, you guys can see that there's really no point of doing this. It's just a little kid, but because of his race, he's being profiled. Starts early, guys. So, as I was saying, racial profiling is an inefficient form of trying to catch criminals. What policemen should actually do is criminal profiling, or basically what criminal profiling is catching criminals based on their general characteristics, or just, it's hard to explain, but it's not based solely on race. That brings me to another point. It's unfairly targeting people. There shouldn't be any type of, there shouldn't be any targeting of any race solely just because of their associated characteristics or stereotypes. It doesn't really catch criminals that well. There's statistics behind this that I'll go over sooner or later in the presentation, and it's just not really an inefficient way. According to Felix Stemney of the University of Minnesota, as the country's diversity increases, the number of blacks who are incarcerated increase by more. So obviously, as you can see, once diversity increases, so do the number or rates of incarceration, as opposed to the rates of non-minorities incarcerated. Now, I also need to mention the opposing views in this speech today. And one of the main proponents of racial profiling is that they're not actually racial profiling. It's just that minorities usually live in poverty-stricken or dilapidated areas. According to Garrett Percival, individuals with less socioeconomic status are likely to have fewer resources in the criminal justice process, leading to higher incarceration rates. Now, although this is true that a lot of minorities usually live in poorer areas, this cannot be the sole blame on how racial profiling is right. It is, as I said, it was unfairly targeting, and the people who propose this are actually misguided. The reason is, another statistic according to Percival, is in conservative counties, blacks are incarcerated 5.5 times more than whites, and Hispanics are 1.6 times more than whites. Now conservative, that's the key word here. In conservative counties, racial profiling is really a big thing. It's not like that bland as in other counties, but it's a pretty big part of the conservative ideology. And because of this, as you can see by the statistics, are that minorities get profiled more. They also get incarcerated more. So, as you can see, racial profiling not only starts from the police, but also leads into the court systems. And in conclusion, racial profiling is unjust and unethical because it is discriminatory and inefficient. The opposite side may have a certain number of points, the biggest one, which I just showed you, but I also disproved it with statistics and reasoning. And if there's any takeaway I want you guys to have, is that racial profiling is an unethical method that should be just, racial profiling is an unethical tool for catching criminals, and it shouldn't be used.